Hello ladies and gents. So I've had a few people ask me about how I'm making my own gels. Well, essentially a few weeks ago I had a call with a nutritionist called Paul Booth, and we were talking about gut training, etc., because as we know, that's something I've always struggled with. And what it came down to is I wasn't training high enough on my long runs. I wasn't basically getting enough carbohydrates in to create that buffer so that when I've got the race coming up, you know, I'm sort of quite conditioned to take in higher carbohydrates. So one of my quick questions was, God, that's going to be quite expensive. Obviously trying to eat between 80 to 120 grams per hour on your training runs isn't optimal for the wallet, let's be honest. So he basically said, no, you can buy your own stuff. And this is from a place called Peak Supplements. And this is Maltodextrin. This is one of the types of carbohydrate. And for a kilo, this is about £15, and it's exactly the same for the fructose powder as well. And those are for me are the only two things I use, because I quite like it being sort of a watery base. If you want to make that a little bit firmer, like say certain gels out there that are a bit more stodgy, then you'd add a thing called pectin, which is a binding agent, something I don't bother with. So it's just those two products there. Like I said, £15 per bag, and I reckon I've got about 4 or 5 batches of about 400 grams of carbohydrates there. So you think about, I've actually gone through loads of this and loads of carbs for not much money. The other ingredient I'm using is just a lemon. I chop that up, squeeze that in, and essentially that's my flavoring. You know, that just takes away a little bit of the sweetness that you sort of get with this pure sort of sugar. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to show you how to make your own sort of flow gel. Right, I'm fully aware this is not the most optimal angle of how to do this, but we've got the scales here, we've got the saucepan which I'm going to boil it in. I've just boiled the kettle. There's the lemon. So I'm doing a 1/8 ratio. So maltodextrin needs to be about 167 grams. And this stuff's actually a lot finer. It's sort of like flour. So this isn't as dense, essentially. So let's get that up to 167. Getting close. And because I'm a bit more sensitive to the gut, I have a 1/8 ratio. Come on. Oh, close. Any danger? Come on. There you go. So 167, okay? That's my maltodextrin. I'm going to zero that in again. Can't even talk. I've got my laptop up here with all sort of the different ratios I've been trying. So fructose looks much more sugary and it's much more denser. So this is going to be 133, like so. I should have some music playing in the background, shouldn't I? Fuck it, 134, that'll do. Right, get rid of that. So that is now 300 grams of carbohydrate all in there. And it looks like it's loads, doesn't it? What we're gonna do with the fork, quickly just mix it up, because sometimes the fructose can go a little bit funny in the, so for me, roughly 200 milliliters of water works really, really well. Like so. So I've just zeroed it in again. I'm making 2 batches, so I've got to make this lemon last, please. Yep, hasn't got any pips in. So whatever you add with fluid to this, you've got to take it off. So say if there's 10 grams of lemon juice, then obviously it's going to be 190 milliliters of boiled water. This is a good lemon, farm shop lemon. Hopefully, I always want to try and get roughly 20 grams, and it's got no pips in. That's always optimal. Like so. Oh no, it has got a pip in. Fuck. Right, that'll do. Get rid of that. Get the pip out, like so. Nothing fast about this video, is there? Right, let's get this up to 200 grams. So this is already boiled kettle water, like so. Give that just a little stir, because I don't want the fructose sometimes can be just a little bit funky. Now, some people just let it work, like just do it like this, but I actually personally like to definitely sync up with these scales. I personally like to put it on here as well. Now, you probably will lose a little bit when you're cooking it, but I'm not too fussed. Let's move this over to there like so. Ooh. Hopefully that's better angle, like that. So there you go, just give it a little stir. You can see it's like that. Like that. You don't want it to obviously stay like that. Sometimes fructose can do that, so I'm trying to get these little hard bits out. So that's why I'll always personally cook it as well. Right, so remember, boiling water. So that there is 300 grams of carbohydrates at the moment, there or thereabouts. You might lose a little bit in the cooking process, like so. So there you go, that's annoying, sometimes that happens. Yeah guys, so when I was speaking to Paul, and essentially what this was for me is it's basically making sort of your own flow gel that you can just hold in your hand or whatever, and you constantly be sipping it. And you see how watery this is? That's personally sort of how I like the texture of my sort of gels. So there you go. This is done already now. I can tell it's relatively thin. It's perfect. So there's one batch done. With this, you know, we've got the 250 there. That's the little Salomon one. Half of that will go in there, and obviously that's 150 grams per. But because I'm doing a long run this weekend, I'm going to go for the big boy straight there. Let's risk it. Go straight in. Bear in mind, guys, this is hot sugar. So what I'm doing at the moment is a really dumb idea. But we're going to carry on doing that because I'm dumb. So now we've finished cooking it, you can see I've got this little gap here. I'm going to put cold water there, okay? Because I do not mind my gels being a little bit watery, because for me it's just easier to digest. And to be fair, you're getting more water in, which is never a bad thing, let's be honest. Like so, make sure it's just mixed. There you go, cool it down. Straight in the fridge. Like that. Now I'm going to make another batch in a second, but yeah, it's as easy as that. Now, for people that are worried about electrolytes and stuff like that, you can add those things in, of course, but I'm not too fussed about that. I'd rather keep it separate, i.e. put my electrolytes in my own drink in a separate form. Same for caffeine as well. I know some people would like to have that in their gels, but for me personally, I want to keep it separate. I want it to be carbohydrate, electrolytes, and caffeine. I want them all to be separate. Because for me, I find that that's how I manage it. I also did get this video idea off James Hudson, by the way. I will link his video as well. He sort of breaks it down a bit better than what I do. He explains the costs of how much you can save, etc., and all that sort of good stuff. But for me, it's as easy as that. And to be fair, that tastes fine. Lemon flavour, not too sweet, not too acidic. And yeah, like I've got to make another batch now. So I've probably, out of these 2 bags that are a kilo, Once I've finished, I reckon I would have got about 8 to 9 batches of 300 to 400 grams of carbohydrates. Just think of that. Obviously, there's a certain brand that sells a flow gel at 300 grams, I think roughly about £16, which isn't too bad. Whereas this is a kilo, you know, at £15. So just bear that in mind. Because yeah, promise you now, these gel companies are making a lot of moolah off the back of us. £2 to £4 per gel is an absolute joke. So save some money and do a bit of gut training.